Welcome to this interview with Geoffrey Smith.
Hi.
Hi. And, Geoffrey, you and I, we are the teachers on this transformational program, which also includes Sine. And
Yeah.
we're going to have a talk about who you are and what you would like to offer during this program. So welcome, and welcome to the listeners
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
and
you. I'm
viewers.
very happy to be here.
Yeah.
Very happy.
So I'm curious, Geoffrey, who you are actually. We have known each other quite a long time. Maybe I don't know if it's 5 or 10 years, maybe 10 years almost. But
Yeah.
maybe you could tell me. I mean, I've always been curious what your background is and how you got into
Oh,
breathwork and so forth.
so I will give you the short version, Michael.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I'm originally from the UK, and I left the UK to work as a volunteer teacher in Papua New Guinea, and I lived there for nearly 12 years. I then moved to Australia for 3 years and then back to Europe, at which point I was no longer a teacher, but I was working in IT.
Okay.
And during that period, whilst I was sort of in this transition from moving from Australia back to the UK, I got to a point in my life where I was really fed up with me. And being a very lazy person, as I am, I didn't want to do anything about it. And of course, the volume kept getting turned up and turned up and turned up. And it got to a point where I could start to see how I felt about myself was affecting the people around me. It was affecting my children. It was affecting my partner. And so I got to a point in my life where I was absolutely determined to do something to bring about some really deep changes in how I was living with myself.
Yeah.
And it was during that period. So I for about 12 months or so, I was searching, looking for something. It didn't matter what it was. I was thinking about giving everything up and going into a retreat somewhere and becoming a monk or something like that. You know?
Yes.
But anyway, I was working with a Belgian guy who did all sorts of different things. He'd do a little bit of Reiki, he'd do a little bit of reflexology, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of the other. And one thing I noticed while I was working with him was that he would get me to breathe in a certain pattern in a certain way. And I started to feel something was shifting within me energetically, but I didn't know what. And at the point where it felt like something was about to happen, he would change the breathing pattern.
Yeah.
So instead of being allowed to sort of release whatever was coming up, it was, ooh, the energy was removed from it. And I mean, I carried on working with the guy for, I don't know, a couple of years, but what it showed me was it sort of said, well, maybe there's something here in the breath, because I kept feeling this thing rising up, wanting to be released, and never getting to the point of having that release from the breath. So I then went wandering around Europe, trying different styles of breathing and different styles of breath work. And eventually one day I walked into a place in Brussels and I said, I believe you offer breath sessions here. What does it cost? And blah, blah, blah. And when can I have a session? And the guy said, well, there is a woman waiting for you behind that door there. I thought, really? What is this? And I went in and laid down, and I had a breathwork session that was to basically change my life completely for me. I knew that within 5 minutes of breathing the way that she had me breathing, that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I was immediately thrown into contact with this emotional body that is part of me,
Yeah.
which I had not been in touch with at all
Mm.
for, I don't know, 30 years at that stage, 40
Yeah.
years maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my introduction to the style of breath work that I practice.
Yeah.
But even before then, I had been working with the breath. So I'd had an experience in my very early life. So I used to go rock climbing and mountain walking a lot in the UK from the age of about 11 onwards.
Mm.
And because I didn't have a lot of money, I would hitchhike up to the mountains in the weekend and I'd sleep out rough. There's little caves and places like that that you can sleep out. So there was one morning I woke up and it was just unbelievable. The mountains looked like ships in a sea of clouds, and it was beautiful, glorious spring sunshine. And I just sat there and I had this really deep, deep, deep experience of connecting to something that's not this body, not this mind, but something much, much deeper.
Yeah.
And that sort of opened a path for me, if you like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in a way, maybe I've been chasing that ever since. I don't know, but it certainly pulled me in a certain direction that I would not have gone on before.
Yeah.
And it led me into meditation.
Yeah.
And so I tried various styles of meditation. And then eventually one day a friend, this is many, many years later, when I was living in Belgium, a friend came back from Germany with a videotape of this crazy little Vietnamese Zen Buddhist monk giving a talk about some really crazily ridiculous Buddhist idea of emptiness or something like that.
Yeah.
And his words just cut through everything. It was incredible. It was like a hot knife slicing through butter. You know, there was like instant understanding for me about what he was saying, and the simplicity of the words that he was using touched me very, very deeply.
Yeah.
So my next step after that was to go and see this guy, because that was immediately what I got from this video that I saw. So that summer I ended up down in Plum Village and spending a month there with Thich Nhat Hanh and the brothers and sisters of the Plum Village. And again, what he gave me was a very, very deep appreciation of the power of the simplest practice of the breath, which is just awareness of the breathing, of just being present to your own breathing, and how profound an effect that has both biologically, neurologically, and emotionally and spiritually as well. So he brought me back to, you know, the simpler something is, the potential for it to be the most profound it becomes at that stage. So there's these sort of different parts of my life kept bumping me into the breath and breathing in different ways. And I eventually got to a point where, okay, I'd had the breathwork session in Belgium, and I'd met this really crazy Danish guy who the first day I took a 6-month self-development program with this organization in Brussels. And the first day was a meet and greet day, and we were going around hugging everybody, you know, how are you, etc., etc. And then there was this tall guy with glasses, and I went into a hug with him. We didn't say anything, but as we came out the hug, we looked at each other and said, oh, one day we're going to work together. And that was my best friend Lars, who you know quite well as well. So he ended up becoming my breathwork facilitator trainer, and I came to Denmark from Belgium for backwards and forward over a 3-year period, training to be a facilitator with Lars. And he's the reason why I'm in Denmark today, because he kept asking me to come to Denmark and bring my work here. And that's how we ended up meeting, you and I. So I hope that answers your question. That was a short version.
Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know all these things. It's good to know. Thank you very much. You know, so doing the breath work, I'm curious about many things. one thing is how do you, I mean, how do you go about the breath work? Is that like doing sessions once in a while, or is it something you can do daily?
Both.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the breath, there are so many different ways in which people are using the breath now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think over the past, it's not very long, 5 years perhaps, there has been this huge interest in the power of the breath.
Yeah.
Not only in its ability to reduce stress levels in the body, but all sorts of other things, such as there's a massive amount of science out there now about how conscious breathing, for example, the physiological effects that it has on the body, how it affects different chemical productions in the body, how it actually encourages certain parts of the brain to increase in size, so grow brain material, which neurologists didn't believe could happen. The thought was that by the time you got to 25 or so, that was it. You know, it was just a long, slow decline as the brain cells started to die off and never got replaced. But now they know that using conscious breath practices, it's possible to actually areas of the brain to continue growing and developing new neural pathways.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
One of the best sort of ways to lower your blood pressure is through using your breath, relaxing, being able to create more focus in your life. There's breathing techniques for that. And then you've got, you know, sort of extremes in terms of breathing. You've got the Wim Hofs at one end of the scale, as it were, and you've got the holotropic breathworks, the Stan Grofs at the other end of the scale, doing different things for different reasons.
Yeah.
But also, I think the breath is it's not new.
No.
We think that this is all new stuff that you know, the Wim Hofs and the Stan Grofs and the Leonard Orrs and the Sandra Rays are bringing to the world. My truth is that this is ancient. This is ancient technology. We are rediscovering. We're remembering this. If I spent a lot of time with different in different cultures, and some of them have been very, very old cultures. I mean, some of the cultures I've been in contact with and lived with have been over 4,000 years old. And the breath plays a big part in a lot of shamanic processes. It plays a big part in a lot of initiation processes, moving from childhood to adulthood. You know, there are processes there which are breath based, which allow the body and allow the person to move through incredibly deep transformation, deep turning points, as it were, in their lives through, with help from the breath, as it were.
It appears to me that you and I and Sina, we're going to share what we have learned ourselves, and that, you know, what we are teaching is actually ancient techniques and methods.
Absolutely. I don't think there's anything new here.
No.
You know, it's like the journey itself. It's not discovering who you are. It's remembering who you are. And remembering where you've come from. So in that way, I think we're not teaching anything new at all. It's teaching stuff that has been remembered by others and by ourselves, because I think as we deepen into our own practices, we discover new aspects, new subtleties in what we're doing. And just as you have taken different styles of Qigong and brought them together and make them, you know, Michael's Qigong system, I guess I've done the same too with the elements of breathing that I've learned about, and the other, because I mean, there's this other wisdom that we carry too, which we bring in from, you know, I also have a background in understanding energy flows. It's the best way I can describe it, and not just in the human body, but in the planetary body as well. And that's something which I've worked with for many, 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 many different years. So this is also something that I bring into my breath work. You know, so all of that. So I think there's other wisdom that we bring in there as well from our own personal journeys that really changes and modifies the underlying fundamental wisdoms that have been there for so long, that have been known about for so long, whether it's coming through from, you know, like the meditation heritage that Thich Nhat Hanh has brought, or Tibetan Buddhism is bringing, you know, or whether it's coming through from the, you know, the heritage, the ancestral heritage that is there in Qigong. I think we bring these things in and we add this our own journeys, our own flavors to it.
So Geoffrey, I was wondering if anyone can anyone do breath work? What does it require to do breath work?
It requires that you are capable of breathing. Full stop. It's the only requirement.
So that's all of us.
If you can't breathe, it would be very difficult to do breath work.
Yes. So anyone
Otherwise,
can do it.
Anyone can do it. Yeah, absolutely
right.
Anyone. Yeah.
But
You can do it lying down, you can do it sitting down, you can do it standing up, you can do it running around in a circle. But it's not necessary to do any of those things.
No.
So when I give a full breathwork session to somebody, they're lying down. But it's possible to do it in all of these different ways. And there's no reason why there should be any physical impairment that is an impediment to practicing some form of breath work or another. And also as a daily practice. So the daily practices that I use are, again, just really, I start the day by just connecting with my breath. It's as simple as that. I wake up in the morning, sit on the side of the bed, and I spend at least 5 minutes just connecting with my breath, arriving, as it were. And that simple process of connecting with the breath, I will do many, many times a day. And each time I do it, it brings me back into the present moment. And it's in this present moment where life is lived. We don't live it tomorrow or yesterday. So we just live it here and now. And for me, that's the magic of the breath. It brings me straight back into this moment, this now. And from here, from now, it gives a completely different perspective on whatever I've been worrying about or stressing about or this sort of thing. But as soon as I come into this moment, there comes a great deal of peace and calm with it as well. And lightness of being too. So it's these sorts of practices that I'm going to be offering in the Turning Point program. There will be some which are very, very simple, and then we will spend some time afterwards on several occasions where we will come back and we'll practice this again and again and again until people really get the sense, the feel for what this is like to be able to breathe this way. But we will also be practicing different breathing techniques to bring about different state changes in our body and in our mental and emotional state. So there will be breathing practices that will allow you to get more energy if you need it. There will be other breathing practices that will just really bring you into a very deep, calm state. And there will be others that will just allow the body to recalibrate itself, if you like, back into, you know, a better place than where it was before. And that will be happening over this 3-week program. So I'll be doing sessions, at least 10 sessions, if not more, during the 3-week program where people will be able to participate in this. And of course, these sessions are being recorded. So participants will be able to come back again and again and again. If they didn't get it, then it's okay. They can come back and watch that, you know, particular video again and so on. And there will be also some support material that I'll provide in terms of written material, this type of stuff to go with it as well for people to help people sort of deepen into that practice so that hopefully it will become part of whatever their daily practice ends up becoming. And it's that, I think, again, it's not just the power of the tools that I think that we're offering during this 3-week program, but I think, and the experience and the power of those tools that will hopefully encourage people to make that into a deeper commitment to a daily
Yeah.
practice for themselves, because that's truly where the turning point happens, is when
Yeah.
we adopt that daily practice and keep walking with that through life. Yeah.
So that was actually, that's approaching the question I would like to ask is, what can you expect if you participate in this 3-week program? So where are you after 3 weeks of breathwork? Will you, Geoffrey?
Well, that's my honest truth is, I don't know where you would be after 3 weeks of breathwork, but what I can promise you is that you would not be the same person you were when you started out on that journey. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Every time I have never, me personally, I have had thousands of breathwork sessions of one form or another. And I have never, ever had 2 breathwork sessions the same.
No.
They have all been completely different.
Yeah.
So, where will it take you over a 3-week period? I'm sure it will take you into a deeper understanding of who you really are.
Yeah.
It will bring you back into your body. And it will hopefully, you will have a technique that will allow you to sort of rest back into the body and not be so engaged with the mind and all of its needs and wants and desires and those sorts of things. So being back in the body is a very deep place to come, and also being in touch with your heart in a much deeper way too. That's what I would hope.
How would you say that's related to these some people would say crazy times where things are changing, and how what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the biggest struggle that we have as human beings is accepting change and being able to flow with change. And I guess the breath is the closest we can get to an experience of change in the moment. Because each breath is different. If we really tune into how we are breathing, you will feel that this breath is not the same as that. This one's a little bit shorter here, or this one seems to go a bit deeper here. And they're always different. It's like there's this constant sort of tuning of the breath happening all the time. And so I think from the breath, from the perspective of working with the breath, it brings us to an understanding or a place where it's easier to feel that change is not this frightening, threatening thing that we are led to believe that it is, and that the world never changes. But we come back more into a more natural relationship to life. And if we look at nature, not what we have done as men or as the human race to the planet, but if we look at nature itself in its natural state, it is one of constant change. And it's being in tune with, being more in tune with that sense of change, rather than this sort of notion of change that we've created as human beings for ourselves, which is where the problem is. It's where most of the stress is. The fact that I'm unwilling to accept changes makes my life very stressful. And I think, again, coming back to what we're offering in the Turning Point program, this is one of the huge benefits that people will be able to pick up with from the Turning Point program, is these tools that will help us to flow with the changes in our lives more naturally, more gracefully, more easily than the struggle that we have at the moment, trying to work out what's what and so on, and be something that we're not meant to be.
So Geoffrey, I was thinking, thanks for sharing that. I'm feeling really honored doing this with you. This
likewise.
Imagining all these sessions you had, thousands of people going through breath sessions with you. That's a wonderful opportunity. Geoffrey, I was thinking, how does this 3-week program that you and I are doing together, and with Signe, how does that kind of fit in with you, where you are heading in your life? I mean,
Oh, well, much like yourself, Michael, it's more about sharing this
yeah,
and trying to reach to share this with as many people as possible.
mm,
And I think when Sinyi came to me and asked me whether I wanted to join in with this, that was the first thing that sort of I felt in my heart was, oh, maybe this is another way that this wisdom can be passed on and shared with other people.
yeah,
And I hope that that's what's going to happen.
mm,
That it will grow like most other things. I'm sure it will start small and it will start to
yeah,
grow over time,
yeah,
because what we're offering is, I think, incredibly valuable,
yeah,
and it's not something that is where people have got to bend over backwards or have the ability to be able to stick their heads up their own butts or anything like that to be able to benefit from the exercises,
yeah,
all the practices there. What you're offering, what I'm offering, what Cindy's offering, are
yeah,
very, very simple, fundamental processes and techniques which
yeah,
anybody can do. Yeah.
yeah. That's
And
wonderful.
to have that shared out there is really what it's all about for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really about that. Yeah. So
I,
I'm
you know,
hoping that as
yeah,
many people as possible will sign up and
yeah,
join us for this
yeah.
journey. Yeah.
To me, it touches my heart that we are sharing this. That it comes
Yeah.
from, you know, deep knowing from years of practice that this is really useful, really useful. We would like to share this, and I know we're about to finish this live interview, but I was just thinking, what if there's a message from you, if there should be a message coming to you that you would like to share with me and the viewers right now, what could be a good message?
Take a breath.
Take a breath. That's very good. Thank you for doing that. Yes. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you for saying that. Yes. Take a breath. Mm.
Yeah.
And in the previous interview, you interviewed me, and there,
Yes.
the viewers can learn more about the transformational program that we are,
Yeah.
you and I are doing the teachings together with Sina.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Maybe you could
if they
tell a little bit
follow the
about.
link, then
Yeah.
yeah. If they follow the link that's in the ticker tape at the bottom of the screen there,
Hmm.
you can it will bring you to this website where you can see more about what you'll get just by signing up. There's no commitment, of course, by signing up, but you'll get access to the Facebook private group. You'll get a tutorial from Michael, and I've provided some books on breathwork and breathing exercises as
Yeah.
well. But also on the website, you can find out more about the Turning Point program, what the aspects it's offering.
Hmm.
And there's a little bit more about who we are, the facilitators. Yeah.
Mm.
And there are also some testimonials there from people that we have worked with who are talking about, what it's like to work with us as individuals, so that you get some sense of, what to expect
Yeah,
when
yeah,
it comes to working with us. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. So, which means that if someone, viewing this program are interested in participating, they just they use the link that is shown below. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah. They can
expensive
see
to
that.
participate?
No, not at all, really. I mean, it costs for
Ah,
the full program of 30 sessions. It would cost around 33 Danish kroner. That's about $5 per
yeah,
session.
yeah,
And I mean, in my book, that's a really good deal. I
yeah.
don't think you're going to find anything as cheap as that anywhere else
No,
for what
no,
you're getting. Yeah,
no.
that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Wonderful.
again, if you're interested, please go to the link.
Yeah.
Just drop your email in there and sign up,
Mm.
and the rest will be delivered.
And when are we
As they
starting?
say, we're starting in January.
Oh yeah, so that's
Yeah,
soon. So that
yeah,
anyone having a New Year resolution about nourishing themselves, they can benefit from this program.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. This, I think, would be a very, very beautiful gift to give yourself for Christmas and for the next year as well. Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you, Geoffrey. Thank you for sharing this time and for sharing your skills and all your knowledge.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah,
It's been
thank you very
lovely
much.
chatting with you. Yeah, very nice indeed. Look forward to seeing you soon. And have a great Christmas and New Year, everybody. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
And keep breathing.
Yeah, that's a good one.